So Congressman Max Miller from Ohio, you're here at the Republican Jewish Coalition. You're one of the Jewish members of Congress. We're adding Jews to the Congress. That's a good thing, right, overall, in general?
Absolutely.
So what's the message to this group today?
The message to this group today is the same message that I had as I've spoken here previously, which is never be afraid of who you are, where you come from as a Jewish American. In my experience so far in the last 4 years, I feel as if other individuals want to intimidate people who either support the state of Israel or who are Jewish American. And to be very direct and clear, that anger and aggression was taken out on me in June when some individual drove me off the road and threatened to kill me and my family. And he's now been indicted on 3 felonies and 2 misdemeanors, but that is how very much, and that is my message to the people of the Republican Jewish Coalition, that our relationship with the United States and Israel will always remain steadfast and strong, but remember who you are and where we come from.
So what's most interesting to me is that a lot of the chatter online, if you're at all an online person, conservative movement, a lot of it's about Jews, Israel, and so much negativity. And then overall, the president's policy has always been fantastic towards Israel and the Middle East. It's A+. And so I feel like are we spending too much time talking about these things, or do we have to talk about them because of all that energy online from the anti-Semitic crowd?
I sadly believe that we need to address it. And we have people on both sides of the aisle in the Democrat Party, more so than our party in the Republican Party, who are starting to spew anti-Semitic rhetoric. And we've been seeing it. You've seen posts online about 30 shekels or $7,000
Yeah, what is that about? I didn't bother looking into that. I need to look into that.
Well, it has biblical history, but essentially what people are saying is that they are paying individuals $7,000 any and every single time that they say something supportive of the state of Israel. And it is it's very upsetting to me. One, I believe it's incredibly anti-Semitic to be out there and saying that, but two, people are focusing with these conspiracy individuals with Jewish people. What they should be worried about are people like Zohran Mamdani and Sharia law that is trying to take over our country, and how we are seeing an influx of this in socialism. And while everyone is focused on whether Jewish people are doing this and doing that, I can very much tell you that those are all much conspiracy theories. I am a Jewish American. I served in the United States Marine Corps. My loyalty is to the people of the 7th District of Ohio and to the United States of America. No one is paying me $7,000 to make a supportive post about a country that has the most similar values to the United States of America and the world.
Yeah, I got to say, if I was getting $7,000 for every time I said something nice about Israel, I wouldn't have flown for Southwest and Middle Seat in this morning for the interviews. No, so but it's something that it is disturbing, because it does feel like a lot of people are claiming the mantle or the banner of America First are completely obsessed with Israel anti-Semitism, and they can't stop talking about it. And it's a curiosity for now, but we don't want it to become policy. We don't want it to affect policy. And there is a concern. Being here, you can tell that people are very concerned that eventually they're going to have numbers, and it could be more politically powerful within the conservative movement.
Absolutely, but I want to be clear. MAGA and Make America Great Again is no one else's movement but President Donald J. Trump's. Now you have people out there who are trying to hijack it and make their own, like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now I think that's really cute as she continues to try to do that, but this is what Make America Great Again means by Donald Trump, and this is what it will always mean, which is a secure southern border, an economy that works for everybody, dialing down foreign wars and getting peace agreements, and fixing our supply chain issues, and making sure that we can be more independent on our own and have better trade deals with foreign countries. That is what Make America Great Again means, and it always will. People like Marjorie and others who are taking MAGA and making it their own are essentially defectors from the party itself, and that's why I classify her as a populist. I mean, right now she's out there pushing for an indefinite extension on the Affordable Care Act when it is the most costly piece of legislation in our country's history, and she's going on The View. The reason why I bring that up is because that is not what's best for the American people. That's what's best for her. So when individuals express that type of sentiment, they're not in it for the party, and they're not in it to support President Trump like I am and the rest of us are. They're in it to support themselves and their own platforms, and it's incredibly dangerous for the people who follow them.
Yeah, it is interesting because I always like a good iconoclast, but sometimes you got to be able to get certain things done. And one thing that hasn't gotten done is the government is shut down to some degree at this point. A lot of the debates about SNAP benefits and about Affordable Care Act subsidies. What do you see as the path out of the shutdown at the moment?
Absolutely. So when it comes to the shutdown, even when I was in the majority under President Biden, we voted, and a lot of Republicans voted for this same CR.
Yeah.
That more Democrats voted for than Republicans did several times. What this has to do is that Chuck Schumer knew that Republicans were going to do the responsible thing in considering to put a vote on the Affordable Care Act for an extension of 12 months while finding an amicable solution that would lower the cost of premiums and do better and actually make the Affordable Care Act affordable for the American people and actually continue to have it go on for 36 months after the fact in terms of a COBRA-like setting.
Yeah.
Democrats are asking for an indefinite extension, which is incredibly unreasonable. I think it's incredible that Republicans have come to the table already and have offered Democrats a vote on the ACA when no Republican in history has ever voted to support it. I believe that is a negotiation, and that's us meeting in the middle, and they have just realized that they want their way or the highway, and they're not going to get it.
So let's talk about SNAP in particular, because the program is just rife with abuse, and all these people who are foreigners or people who are just using the money for unhealthy foods, and then they get unhealthy, and then we need to pay for their health care. It's a big nightmare, but there are people who are dependent on it, and just ripping it away because Chuck Schumer is getting threatened by AOC doesn't seem great either. So what is the path forward for that program, which is a problem, but also people aren't relying on it?
So I want to be clear on this. Republicans in Congress during this shutdown have put forward solutions and pay-fors in order to get SNAP approved, in order to pay our military and border and everyone else within the federal government to try to do the best that we can. Yeah. The Democrats are the ones who are blocking that effort right now. Now, there was a ruling. I have no idea if the Trump administration is going to appeal it when it came to SNAP. It was made yesterday saying that those funds have to be allocated to the states so they can disseminate the food. If there is no appeal, I assume that happens. But make no mistake, there is only one party who is actually trying to address these issues while the government is shut down. And once again, to be clear, Democrats in the Senate have voted to block this time and time again when it comes to military pay, and I believe they would also vote to block SNAP benefits if a vote like that could hit the floor.
Yeah, I think they would. That's right. So what about bringing it to the floor? Is that an option?
It's an option as soon as we get the government open, and I want to be firm on this. We should not break up the filibuster in order to get the government open, and that's my fundamental belief. I am not going to hand the Democrats statehood for Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico down the road and look at this like Harry Reid when he decided to use the nuclear option.
Right.
And because of that, look how that played out for the Republican Party and how miserable it did for the Democrats.
Yeah, let me just frame it up direct so that there's context. So the president called for calling for the nuclear option, blowing it up, and then I know Leader Thune doesn't want to do that. Give me your take.
Right now, caught in the middle, but if I had to pick one or the other, I always support the president. He's the commander-in-chief at the end of the day. But with Leader Thune, I respect his decision in keeping the institution of the place. I believe it's a dangerous precedent. To open up the government for a Democrat clean CR that every Republican voted for without getting more than that, I believe would be an irresponsible thing to do, because as soon as Democrats get control, as I had just recently said, there is no doubt. And it's not only that they'll give statehood to D.C. and Puerto Rico, they'll move to pack the Supreme Court. They'll move to go after our gun rights. And I think it is incredibly dangerous to push forward ending the filibuster in this moment without actually getting what we want out of it. And right now, I don't see that happening.
So my thought then is always, what's preventing them from just doing it anyway whenever they get power, them making so that they don't have to worry about the nuclear option?
I believe that we would have a much better chance of holding the Senate majority as we do in the next election coming up in 26 and 28 with the map that we have and continuing to fight this battle. Right now, I do not like that the government is shut open, nor do I support it. I voted to keep it open. But right now, the American people are seeing who this is working for, and right now, the Republican Party, sadly, is seeing more support because of this. We do not like that the government is shut down, but the American people are seeing that the Democrats are not being reasonable, and somehow, some way, the independents in the middle, And I believe, reasonable Democrats are seeing this, and they're coming over to our side, and they're saying, look, the Democrats are hurting people. Leader Jeffries said it himself, that shutting down the government he would never do because it would hurt the American people, and he would never do it for a negotiating standpoint. And look what he's doing now. And he only said that a year and a half ago. These people are incredibly disingenuous. The American people see it, and I believe that the government will open up in 3 weeks after Chuck Schumer wants to scare them so they can see their premiums skyrocket through the roof, which is irresponsible.
Of course, but they think they could beat the Republicans in the messaging war on this, but all the polling is suggesting they're not. So far.
Look, the Republican Party before, and I was here when I was a staffer during 2 government shutdowns. During both of those government shutdowns, what happened and what did the Republican Party get? Sadly, we got nothing, and then when it came to the midterms, especially in 2018, we lost a historic amount of seats, giving the majority to the Democrats in a massive fashion. They have no message right now. It's my belief this is manufactured by Chuck Schumer because he knew Republicans were going to do the right thing by the American people by figuring out a solution to extend the ACA, and he had no other option but to close down the government and wedge this issue, and it was the last thing that he had left. And I believe the American people have seen through that, and that people are going to break, and that we will see the government open up in a couple of weeks.
Congressman, you were a Marine Corps veteran, and his memory serves. Okay, so
yes.
That's very cool. So I just grabbed you in the hall, which is great. So going off memory here, I could have done a quick Google, but it feels like this is a great moment for military recruiting. It feels like we're coming back, but this is really important because we are a peace through strength party, and it feels like we don't want unnecessary foreign wars. We don't want forever wars. We don't want to start new beefs around the world if we can avoid it. But that said, part of that is making sure we get the strongest, most badass fighting forces in the world. Feels like we're on the right track, but could you put some color on that for us?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, President Trump sent a very clear and strong message when he decided to take out 3 of the biggest nuclear sites in Iran. And look what has happened. That's peace through strength right there.
It is, I agree.
And right now, it's quiet. And right now, we finally have a leader that when he says something, he does it. And before, we didn't. Look what President Trump was able to do in getting the hostages released in just about a 10-month or 11-month window of time. Joe Biden, who was president of the United States, couldn't even control himself or lift a finger and say, release the hostages or something bad will happen to you. There was no integrity there. We finally have a leader that when he says something, people listen. And so I believe that we are back on the world stage when it comes to leadership, and President Trump is the one who is orchestrating and conducting peace deals and bringing countries together to make sure that this world is a safer place.
Now, how about bringing in more younger people who are excited to serve their country and be tough on our behalf to keep us safe?
Absolutely. Look, I served under President Barack Obama under my time in the presidency, and a little under President Trump for the very end of it. But what I will tell you right now is that when I talk to my Marine Corps brothers who are still in there, they are motivated than ever that President Trump is in office. They feel that they're incredibly supported by Secretary Hegseth, that they look at how they can benefit their lives, increase the quality when it comes to the barracks, make sure that they have the proper equipment, that every single one of them can come home at the end of the day, and that is the ultimate victory, and that is what we want in the United States military, and that is what President Trump and Secretary Pete Hegseth are delivering on, and I believe it's a beautiful thing.
Still one of the sleeper best cabinet picks that Trump picked, and it's one that caught me completely off guard, and I saw the math so quickly, because if you're a young person, you're thinking about signing up, I mean, that's the guy you want to serve under as Secretary of War. Like, that's the guy. Like, it's just a perfect, the optics are just beyond belief.
Well, and if you listen to what he said during his Senate confirmation hearings and what he wanted to do, he wanted to take care of the troops.
Yeah.
You know, I'm an enlisted Marine, so I was a corporal in the Marine Corps. And when you hear that as somebody who's enlisted, and I'm sure even as an officer for people who are in the military, when you hear that you have a Secretary of Defense who wants to take care of you on the ground, who wants to make sure that they're not just looking at you as a number or body bag that they can put somewhere in order to keep our country safe. That makes us so much more motivated to go out for this country, to fight for somebody like him with the leadership that he and President Trump exudes. Yeah, that's why you've seen an uptick in military recruiting since the president has been here. It's been a beautiful thing.
Last one for now. So when the government eventually gets back to normal, what are you most excited to work on?
I've got cryptocurrency bill in the works right now that I'm incredibly excited on. Right now, we are going to be introducing it with Horsford on the Ways and Means Committee, and it's going to be a crypto tax. And what that's going to do is it's going to bring in revenue as a pay-for the federal government, but it's also going to be backed by the United States of America. So we regulated cryptocurrency last term by Fit 21 on the Agricultural Committee. I got into it as a young guy, and now I have a unique opportunity working with Chairman Jason Smith in order to get this across the finish line, which will be transformational because President Trump and David Sachs have really been focusing on crypto and bringing this thing to a reality, even with the Genius and Clarity Act in the Senate.
Can you give me a little more detail on that, just because I know my audience loves this stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, I believe that cryptocurrency is a financial institution which is traded within the billions of dollars. There's an argument, is it a commodity, is it a security? We obviously know what a gain and loss transaction would be when it comes to this, of just selling it. But when it comes to the taxation of things, we also know that you can buy things through cryptocurrency or any different form of it, or even stable coin, which will be coming out, and things of that nature, and looking at the tax on that. But I believe that if you have an investment within cryptocurrency, and this is going to be backed by the world reserve currency, which it is, you are only going to see more investment, and we will beat China to market, being one of the most competitive financial institutions when it comes to cryptocurrency in the entire world.
And Sachs likes this.
I believe that he does, yeah, and they're pushing for this along with the Genius and Clarity Act and the framework from this, which is incredibly bipartisan. And just for context, really quickly,
Sure.
I think it's hysterical it's bipartisan, but I'm proud that it is, because just about a year ago when Biden was in office, he was so hostile towards cryptocurrency, and so was every single Democrat pretty much within the Democrat Party and all of Congress. And I believe that they've seen that the American people are interested in this, that there's a significant investment in it, and that they made a mistake, and they want to work with us together to produce a great product for the American people.